Every parent wants their child to have the best start in life, and knowing when, how, and what first foods to give your baby is essential to their healthy and happy development. Ideas about weaning have changed radically over the years, and with lots of different advice around, it can be difficult to know what's right for your baby. In this DVD, we'll join real families as they start to introduce solid foods to their babies.
My parents think that he should start eating already. You know, when I was younger, I got weaned at 4 months, and they're quite eager to see if you want some bananas or some crushed up fruits and things, but you feel you have to be quite firm with them. It's like, no, we're waiting, he's fine.
The most recent research shows that the best time to start weaning onto solid foods, in addition to formula or breast milk, is around 6 months or 26 weeks.
He just didn't seem ready before now. I mean, the advice is to wait 6 months. I feel around about 6 months, so I guess every baby's different. That's when their gut's mature enough to cope with food.
Well, the reason that people are being told to give their babies purees at 3 or 4 months is babies of that age, they're not able to move the food to the back of their mouth and swallow it. They haven't figured out how to move their tongues around, even if they are chewing on things like Judy is just now. And also, once babies can sit up when they're eating, then if they do start to gag on something, it'll just come right out of their mouth again, that she can work that out herself, so I didn't worry about her choking. Whereas if you start earlier, the food has to be pureed because they're not able to manage it. No, they're not able to manage it. We just offer Judy whatever we're eating. We make sure that things are quite soft and we don't use added salt or sugar, but she really will try just about anything.
I waited till 6 months with my daughter. That was one of the benefits. You just don't have to carry all these jars and bottles and get them heated up in time to feed her out. She would just basically have a bit of whatever we were eating, and it's just so easy. Just get an extra plate, cut it up, put it in front of her and see what she'll take. That was brilliant.
I think most of my friends have weaned before 6 months. A lot of them started from about 4 months or just after 17 weeks with things like baby rice. Just, I think, because they felt their babies were hungry or were feeding more, or maybe they hoped it would help their babies sleep more at night.
One common belief is that introducing solid food helps babies to sleep longer, but there is no evidence to support this idea. If you are thinking about weaning before 6 months, speak to your health professional.
Actually, digesting solids can wake babies up more when they first start out because it's a new sensation for them.
Every baby is unique, but there are several signs which will help you decide when your own baby is ready. They include being able to sit up with support if needed, being able to reach and grasp objects, being able to chew, and loss of tongue thrust. If a baby spits out their food, it may be because they still have a tongue thrust, not because they don't like that particular food. If your baby is under 6 months and seems hungrier than normal, this is probably just a growth spurt, and giving extra milk is better than introducing food.
She's certainly been feeding a lot more and more and more, but I think she just needed more milk, not solids.
Here we go again, weaning number 2. When I weaned Daniel, he was 3 months, and now obviously everything's changed and it's actually 6 months. And here's baby number 2. Today I'm going to try him with sort of some cut up foods. We had meatballs and spaghetti for tea last night, so he's basically going to get leftovers today. So I'm going to cut it up, and hopefully, I'm a little bit worried that he might sort of start gagging and choking. So just have to wait and see. So yeah, here we go. Hopefully everything will go okay, and Noah's big meal will go okay. All right then, here we go.
Weaning is a daunting prospect for many families, but it can also be a lot of fun.
I'm very excited about this, aren't you?
At first, it will be trial and error, but after a couple of weeks, you'll find a pattern that suits everyone. Choose a time of day when both you and your baby are relaxed. If your baby is really hungry, it's best to give him some of his milk first. Hygiene is important, so make sure the chair and the utensils are clean. You don't need to sterilise anything apart from milk bottles unless your baby is under 6 months. Weaning is a messy business. A bib is essential and you may wish to put something on the floor. Make sure your baby is sitting up comfortably and facing straight forward. A high chair will ensure that they are well supported and therefore less likely to choke. It's really important to stay with your baby while they eat, in case they do start choking. For more advice on what to do if this does happen, speak to your health professional.
Do you want a little bit in there? That's it, get your hands in.
Be patient. Go at the baby's pace and allow them to feed themselves. Start with just a few teaspoons of a well mashed up food at 1 meal a day. Your baby will let you know when they've had enough. Don't expect them to finish the bowl.
Having the mess now and having all of that hassle, even out in restaurants, having to pick up all the foods off the floor, it's going to benefit in the future because my son Noah is going to enjoy his food, he's going to love his food, and in the future there isn't going to be that hassle of getting him to eat all his dinner, because hopefully he will be less messy eventually, but he'll be eating the food that maybe I struggle to get my eldest to eat.
Baby-led weaning is where the baby feeds themselves from a variety of soft finger foods placed in front of them.
To me, it means that whatever I'm making at meal times, the baby can have as well. So I'm not having to spend extra time pureeing food for him to have. So it's just sort of like finger-sized foods, things that are easy for him to hold, and he can just learn to pick them up and put them into his mouth himself. I mean, you do go through the phase where they're obviously learning how much they can put in their mouth, how far back food can go. Oh, you were enjoying that. But that's all part of them learning. And yes, you do see them having a bit of panic on their face the first few times, but that's them learning to use their tongue to bring the food forward and then swallowing. So they soon get used to it.
Some parents prefer this approach as it gives their baby more control over what and how much they eat.
After he's had something to eat, I can see how happy he is. He's not crying, he's not gurny, he's quite happy. So that to me is reassuring. And he's obviously still being breastfed as well, so I know that that's a big part of his diet just now as well at this stage.
It also means that the baby can experience a wide range of textures and tastes and helps with physical and social development.
He absolutely loves it, and he loves being able to pick things up himself and even just making a mess with it. It's great fun for him, and just even seeing the different colours. It's not all like one mashed blended colour. It just makes it a bit more fun for him at meal times rather than just sitting in a chair and getting a spoon put in his mouth.
I've got a young family. We've got Josh, who's 4, Chloe, who's 2, Carol, who's 1. We're due another baby in 2 weeks' time, so it's going to be extremely busy.
There's an exciting range of food out there that you and your baby can explore together. However, there are some foods which aren't suitable for babies. Salt, sugar, and honey should be avoided for babies under 1, and whole nuts should be avoided by all children under 5.
You worry what your children are having, eating and drinking. If it's fizzy juice or biscuits or crisps, the bright colour foods. Then you start looking at the ingredients. There's lots of E-colours, there's lots of sweeteners instead of sugars. A lot of the time I won't use jars for Kyle and the children. I'd rather make everything fresh from scratch, and then I know exactly what's in it. Making your own food tastes so much better than a jar. It's more healthier, there's less salt in it, there's less sugars in it, and at the end of the day, you feel chuffed that you've made that.
The government recommends that babies between 6 and 12 months shouldn't have more than 1 gram of salt a day. and only 1 gram a day for infants over 12 months.
No, not today. We'll leave it up another day.
This is the same amount that you can find in some packets of crisps, and most of them will contain at least half a gram. Ready-made baby food and drink shouldn't have any added salt, but will often contain added sugars. Sugar comes in many different forms, so look out for these ingredients.
There's about 150 different names for sugar, but the trick is anything that ends with OSE is sugar. So that's things like fructose, lactose, maltose, dextrose, there's hundreds of them. If it ends with syrup, if it's got honey in it, or concentrated fruit juice, we class that as an added sugar as well. And sometimes you can find 4 or 5 different kinds of sugar in what you're about to have. So have a look, because it is very misleading.
My approach to a lot of the diluting juice has changed because I didn't realise how much sugars were actually in those products. So she'll be getting water and milk to at least a year old, and I'll be trying to stay away from buying baby juices out there because a lot of them do have added sugar in them, which I wasn't aware of.
If you do give your baby too much sugar, then they're going to have dental problems. And I don't want to put Innes through having to go to the dentist to get teeth pulled and filled and all the rest of it. And it's down to me really to make sure that he's getting what he needs to have healthy teeth.
I can see sweets being given as rewards. If you be good, I'll give you a sweetie, or eat all that up. You get rewarded with your pudding. So that's something I'm going to have to watch with Sophie as well. It's just about breaking habits.
I can drink quite a lot of fizzy juice, and I'm going to try, well, I am trying to cut back on the fizzy juice because I can see her eyeing up the bottles or the cans when I'm drinking them, and she's stuck with her milk, and I don't think she's going to be very happy shortly.
I've set more of a good example now since I've had Sophie. Before I was probably quite lazy with what I was eating, not checking packets and things, and going forward, because I'm wanting her to eat what I'm eating, I'm going to have to be a lot more cautious about what I buy, how I prepare it. And good habits at the start means there'll be good habits going forward, and then when she's older and if she decides to have any children, then it's just you're continuing the circle.
I just want him to have a lifetime of health and not to have any obesity problems or heart problems. So yeah, I just want to give him the best start. I've breastfed him to give him the best start. So really, when he's moving on to solid food, I want to give him the best start where that's concerned as well.
Hi. Hello. How are you doing? Fine. How are you? Do you want to come in?
Breast milk, formula milk, and plain water are the best drinks to give your baby in the first year. For babies over 6 months, water does not have to be boiled, but should come from the mains tap rather than mineral or flavoured water, as the content of these may be unsuitable for babies. Whole pasteurised cow's milk can be used in cooking after 6 months and as a drink after 1 year. Semi-skimmed milk can be used after 2 years, but it's best to speak to your health professional first if there are any concerns about eating patterns or food intake. For fussy eaters, it may be appropriate to continue on whole milk. Similarly, skimmed milk may be given from the age of 5.
The use of toddler milk, follow-on milk, I don't think they're worth it, because they say they can have, like, children can have cow's milk at 1 year, and that's what everyone else drinks in the family. So I think why waste the money on toddler milk?
There is no need to use follow-on or toddler milk, or even milk for hungrier babies. First stage milk is much better for babies because it's easier to digest. Tea should not be given to babies as it stops iron being absorbed into the body. Fizzy drinks should also be avoided as they damage the surface of your baby's teeth. Drinks that are labelled sugar-free should also be avoided. They often contain sweeteners.
I can tell you right now that sugary drinks definitely are worse than sugary foods, because my son Daniel has had 4 teeth taken out at the back. He's got cavities in between teeth because he had a lot of fruit juices as a child. And funnily enough, now that we're either diluting the juices or he's only having them within a meal, there's no decay or anything. I think before we used to just give it to him as a drink, as a snack drink, whereas now it's very much like he'll only get that type of drink during a meal time.
Fruit juice, if given, should be unsweetened and diluted, 1 part water to 1 part juice. It should only be given at mealtimes in small amounts of no more than half a cup, and in a free-flow cup, not a feeding bottle. In fact, it's a good idea in general to encourage your baby to drink from a cup.
Homemade carrot soup. So we need 5 carrots, peeled and chopped finely, 1 large potato or 2 smaller potatoes, chopped into small pieces, an onion finely chopped.
I've done the peeling the veg and chopping it up and making carrot soup and shepherd's pie.
It's the first time I've ever made carrot soup, so it's quite good.
And they're easy enough to remember to take them back home.
Yep.
Because we've done Maggie's root beer, we've done a couple of cooking classes and we've done like fish goujons. My wee one hates fish, hates it with a passion. But when I wrapped it up like that and they told him it was chicken, he eats it in the pot. And it works brilliantly, it gives me a variety as well.
While pre-made baby food may be useful at times, preparing your own baby food has several advantages. It can save you money and is a lot easier than you might think.
I always buy like fresh vegetables and fruit and all that myself, but then I prefer to like use frozen stuff as well, which is much easier as well to come, so it's easier just to go in and grab it and use it when you can, but then you don't want to be wasting vegetables, this is the thing. Freezer stuff is a lot cheaper.
No, that's it. I only try and really give the jars of food like when I'm not in and I'm gnashing about, but she tends to eat the healthier
because they all taste, even though there's different food, they all literally do taste the same.
Got the same smooth texture in it. Whereas like the other day there I had made stew and mashed tatties for Ellie, and I did blend it all up, but obviously by using the hand blender it doesn't get it right, so there was like texturey bits, it was like wee stringy bits of the meat breaking up where it's not quite caught, and the bits of the tatty and everything, and like I say, she ate it much better than the pureed stuff, because I find she just tends to spits it right back out at me.
If your child is over 6 months, this does not have to be blended to a fine soup. It can still have lumps in.
Like when I gave Hannah a spaghetti bolognese last night, I know that I've just had chopped tomatoes, I know exactly what's in it. Whereas you say, you know you've not boiled the pasta with salt in it, where you don't know, they say that they did, but then you read it and then you've got all these numbers, you're like, where did all them come from? They say it's a simple easy pasta. It's easy enough to make a pasta dish up for them. I mean, all the little chopping the vegetables up, you know what's going into it, and then you've got the chopped tomatoes as well, so it's quite good for them as well, and then they've got the pasta. But then they put all the stuff in it to keep it so it doesn't go off as quick, which is different from ours, because you know ours just going to go off, but they're just sitting in a jar on a shelf.
You can find examples of simple, delicious and healthy recipes in the Fun First Foods booklet.
We all sit together as a family to eat our meals. We think this is very important for the children because they see us trying something new, they'll try it. Even Kyle sits in his little chair and he'll eat with us, and we think it's important for them to grow up like that. We all sit at the table, we don't have the television on, and so that they can concentrate on the actual meal.
Weaning your baby is a great opportunity for the whole family to learn and have fun together. Eating regular meals together with your baby helps them to feel included, develop social skills, and set up good habits from a young age.
Kyle's at that age where he's tasting new foods, different flavours, different textures. I think it's great to teach him these things. I feel the earlier you get children to taste things, the better. Mealtimes are supposed to be fun. They tell us basically what they've had for lunch, who they've been playing with, what they've been doing. They usually pull things out of the pockets and show us, or they usually got stickers saying well done, and they'll tell us what they've been doing to get them. So yeah, it's nice to sit at the table and talk.
If your baby has additional health needs, or for more information about weaning or joining a group in your area, please speak to your health professional.
Josh, you did do it. Are you fed up? You want to sit here beside me instead? Oh.
Too well behaved.